Join me in this episode of the vlog where I attempt to photograph two bridges in one, make light look like mist, and stumble on a stunning waterfall deep in a box canyon. Morning everyone and welcome back to the vlog. I'm in Rumbling Bridge today, not to be confused with the Rumbling Bridge just near Dunkeld where I've often photographed the beautiful waterfall there, but this is actually the village of Rumbling Bridge in Kinross at the foot of the Ochil Hills. And wow, absolutely stunning. I'm on a bit of a recce, I haven't been here before, but not a bad start. This is the bridge behind me. You can see the new bridge that they've put over the top of the old one, and this bridge goes over the River Devon, and we're actually in what's called a box canyon, and it really is absolutely stunning. I believe it's called a box canyon because you've got steep walls either side and then a flat bottom to it, but it really is absolutely beautiful. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what I can find to photograph today. I know there's some nice wooded forests. I know that we've got the actual canyon itself. I don't know whether you can get down to it. I was hoping to get some sort of waterfalls and things and stuff, but wow, what a great start, and looking forward to really exploring the area. Now, you would think that it was actually called the Rumbling Bridge because of the actual noise of the river running through the gorge, but I actually believe, so I've read, that it's due to the noise of the traffic going over the bridge. And actually, I can believe that because every now and again a car goes over and it really does rumble as they go over the bridge. But anyway, I'm shooting on my 17 to 35mm lens. I'm over the fence, so I'm being incredibly careful where I'm positioned. It just drops behind and drops in front, but I've got to get into this position to be able to get a good shot of the bridge. And as I say, I'm going to bracket. We've got some really bright light behind. So yeah, anyway, not bad for a start. And well, here's the first image. I'm definitely struggling with the light here. I mean, it's so bright. I've got some side light coming down and the light behind the actual bridge is really strong. And I wouldn't say the bridge is more interesting itself than the actual photograph. Sometimes you come across scenes that you know, they leave you a little bit sort of gobsmacked and you think, wow, that's absolutely stunning. But that doesn't always make a good photograph. Sometimes you have to take a picture just to record where you've been and what you've seen, and this is probably one of those instances. I mean, the bridge is beautiful, the shapes are lovely, and perhaps on that right day, maybe with a, I mean, photographers always say with a little bit of mist, chucking a little bit of mist and everything looks beautiful. But I think a sort of early morning light right behind me capturing the bridge would probably make a nicer image. But I don't think I'm ever going to come away from here with the shot that makes a beautiful photograph as such. So, but I'm definitely taking it. And what I'm doing is I'm just playing around with compositions. I'm turning the camera portrait and landscape, and just sort of seeing how those arches fill my image. I like the textures of the stone and the rock. You've got some crows that keep flying past, which just adds a little bit of perhaps interest into the shot. But anyway, as I say, it's a good start. It's a recce. We've never been here before. We're exploring the area to see what we can see and perhaps think about what it would be like different times of the year when we come back. So anyway, absolutely stunning, beautiful location. I'm beginning to think I probably should have brought an abseil rope with me. I do wonder how many times photographers have come along here, looked at these stunning falls and thought, oh, I wished I could get to them. But I mean, it's incredible to see. The gorge is absolutely stunning. And maybe I might be able to get the drone down in there later, although there's a lot of tree and branch coverage, so it could be tricky. So anyway, there's a wee bridge just tucked in over the falls there. So I'm going to head over to that little bridge and see what views I get from there. One of the things that I really like about shooting a soft scene like this, when you've almost got the light behind coming through the trees there, you get this real sort of soft, ethereal type kind of feel to it. Almost looks misty because of that bright, strong light. Now, I wouldn't say my subject is necessarily a really sort of stopper as far as sort of images go, but I do really like the way that the light is hitting the branches of those trees that are coming through there. And I think with the walkway, and it just adds a little bit of interest. And I think when you are sort of recceing and exploring a new place, you should photograph everything that catches your eye. And then, you know, for next time when you visit, you can have a look when you get back on the computer and think, okay, yeah, maybe if I move this, change this, different light. But so what I'm doing is I'm just waiting for that light to sort of soften. It's a little bit too strong when it's out fully, but the clouds are just coming across. But what I do like is when that light's out, we also get a little bit of reflection, a bit of shadow on that bridge. Not reflection, definitely sort of light and shadow, which is really nice and just adds to the sort of scene there. And I like the way that it draws your eye in through into those beautiful branches that are coming across with the moss dripping off of them. It's, yeah, nice scene. sometimes you just have to get incredibly creative with your tripod. I've got no room on here, so I've just hooked it over the fence, and feels pretty sturdy, but just take a look at this scene. It is just incredible. So what I've done is I've put on my 70 to 200mm lens to really get in on these falls between the rocks here. It looks like it's a bit of a pinnacle on the right-hand side. It's an incredible feature. It's frustrating that you can't sort of get down into there. But one of the things that I'm finding a real problem is that any movement in this bridge picks up on the lens. You can see the movement. I'm zoomed right in at 200mm, and so any slight vibration. So I've given Corin strict instructions not to move an inch. She's not even breathing, and just having to wait for that lens to stop shaking and then get the shot. But it is beautiful. There's some light that's just catching on the sides on the moss there with some brown leaves on the side. It's an incredible scene. I'm having to sort of bracket because I don't want to sort of have too long an exposure on that water coming down, making it too soft. So, the dynamic range is just that little bit too much to get everything in. So I'm sort of shooting about 3 exposures, and hopefully I'll catch a little bit of that movement of the water coming down through the bottom there. But anyway, I'll show you what I'm looking at on the back of the camera. So you can see on the back of the camera, we've got the falls coming down behind there. I love that sort of triangular rock that's sat just above it. And then we've got this pinnacle that comes down to the right. You can't really see much of that because I'm really just honing in on this moss. And you can see like any slight movement is just being picked up in that camera shake. So I'm having to really keep still. I like the way that the water's coming through, and there's a few bubbles down on the bottom there, which on a long exposure will just add a little bit of detail into the water coming through. Just now and again that light drops, which is a little bit better to, it flattens out a little bit more, which is nice. I'm going to take a few shots portrait and then just sort of play about. I have got some branches. If I just move the camera up, you'll see that there's some branches that overhang, which are a real distraction, so I can't come too far back. Oh, just absolutely incredible. It's like a scene out of Lord of the Rings. It's just moss and rocks and waterfalls coming through the back there. It's just incredible. What I'm going to do is put on a teleconverter just to give me a little bit more focal range. This is a 2x teleconverter, so it will basically take me from 200mm to 400mm. You do lose a little bit of quality when you're using these teleconverters, but not enough to notice. So it'll just enable me to get in a little bit closer. I'd like to try and do a landscape shot, and 200mm isn't just quite far enough in. So anyway, let's give it a go. So you can see on the back of the camera now that teleconverter has really brought me into my image, and I'm able to now shoot at sort of landscape, but without including all of those branches. And now it really is picking up just about every movement on this platform, especially having the tripod legs over the siding here. But I just absolutely love those sort of leaves on the top left-hand corner and that light capturing the moss, that dark tunnel as the water cascades out of it, flowing through. It really is just an image that has come together. It's sometimes when you walk out on these sort of platforms that have been built, you kind of look around and think, oh, there's no way of getting in at that image. But long lens, teleconverter, going right in, and we've got the scene. So what I think I'm going to do now is take the camera off, turn myself around and look at the scene going back the other way. It's definitely not as dramatic, but there's some lovely light coming through there and the trees above. So let's see if we can get a scene from that side as well. So you can see on the back of the camera, I've got some nice rocks just in my foreground, and there's some lovely light on the water with that nice moss capturing the light as it comes around the corner there. As I say, I'm just not sure that there's enough in the image to draw the eye through, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot at a fairly long exposure. I'm going to sort of shoot at around about 1.5 seconds, because I think it'd be really nice just to soften out that water and then maybe perhaps catch a few more reflected light in there, just to sort of just give it a little bit more interest. I like the patterns that are forming, so I'll try both. I'll try a fairly quick exposure and a long exposure and see which I prefer. The ripples catching the light are nice. There's some wee little birds that just keep skitting around the rocks down there, which are really good, fascinating to watch. But anyway, let's take the shot, and here's the image. Some of the waterfalls down through here, through the canyon, are absolutely incredible. But what's caught my eye in particular here is not so much the falls, but to the left of it down here is like a small piece of rock where the water's come through and it's smoothed off the edges, and there's some incredible light that is just reflecting off of the rocks. So I'm not concentrating on photographing the big scene. It's just that small little scene down in there that has really caught my eye. I think it's just the way that the light's coming through there. And anyway, I'll show you what I'm looking at on the back of the camera. So you can see on the back of the camera, we've got this rock formation that comes down through here, I guess where the water's slowly worn through the rock over the years. But it's got some beautiful colour in there. I love the way that the light is just touching the green on the rocks, that light in the background. And I think, in particular here, with a slightly longer shutter speed, I think it'll really just soften that water a little bit. I'm just capturing on the bottom right the main falls, which is incredibly distracting. So I'll probably knock that back when I get back on the camera, sort of like darken that off on that corner a little bit, because otherwise it's going to be incredibly distracting and draw the eye just to that right-hand side there. But as an actual scene, it's all about the sort of colour and that light touching those rocks. I'm shooting on my 70 to 200 millimeter lens. I'm almost 200 millimeters in. Yeah, it's about finding those small little features in a big scene. Here's the image. Well, I think that's it for this episode of the vlog. It's always a little bit risky when you come out on a recce like this, especially if you're doing vlogging and video at the same time, because you really don't know what you're going to come across. Not so bad when you're just photographing, because you can often make a scene out of something. But wow, it just hasn't failed to deliver. We started off with the bridge and it just got better and better as we came up through the canyon here. And the light's just been perfect. We've had a little bit of cloud cover, so it's not been too harsh. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the vlog. If you know of any areas around Scotland that you visited that you think I would enjoy photographing, let me know and leave me a comment below. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell notification. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.